Hello and welcome to today's Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. I am bringing you the Changemaker, a brand builder, building global businesses through the power of their teams, supporting them with their personal and professional development, and going into the business knowing what it's like to work in that business. And isn't that true of so many people right now who are going to be choosing to become coaches and business development consultants, having been in that industry and now able to go in and work from the inside out, but with it's almost like an in-house service, but with an outsourced way of doing it. Jo, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. Well, what's fascinating about your journey, having read through your bio and knowing what I do about you in the Brand Builders Club, what's fascinating is a lot of people, they go through a process in their own life or business, or in somebody else's business usually, and then they're able to take that gift and bring that to so many other businesses, and that's something that you've done. So when was this business of yours, like when did it become a concept or a thought in your mind?
Well, first, I think I turned 40 and I was like, whoa, okay, what do I do now?
Defining moment.
If I don't do it now, when am I ever going to do it? And when I came across coaching accidentally 4 years ago, it just inspired me on a whole another level of what I could achieve. Yeah. And we actually moved to Melbourne, the other side of the world, and the role I moved to didn't work out. So it was like, well, if I'm going to come back to the UK, let's come back with a bang and start a business. Yeah. So that's what happened.
Yeah, brilliant. And so walk us through that process, because, and come and say hi, those of you that are joining us now. I'd love to know where in the world you're joining us from. So pop it in the comments so we can see who we got on today's show. So there you are, you're in Melbourne. What drew you to go to Melbourne in the first place?
I literally got an email on LinkedIn saying, we've seen your profile, fancy coming and doing this job. And it was an amazing job. Like, it was working for one of the biggest advertising agencies in Melbourne. And I just remember turning around to my husband and went, I got this opportunity to do an interview. And he's like, well, we can't go to Melbourne, but you've never been interviewed on Skype before. So just be good practice. Just do it. Okay, I'll do it. And then I got the job on the second interview. Went to my husband, I got it. What do you want to do? And he's like, give me 24 hours. And then 24 hours later, he went, let's do it. Packed up, left.
Wow. So he went with you as well?
He went with me. Yeah, my poor mum, 2 years ago, I moved 7 minutes away from her, and then I was telling her I was moving the other side of the world.
Oh my gosh. And so there you are, you're in this dream job. Yeah. And so talk us through that process. So you're in this job, which many of us are, right? We go through a job and we're learning the ropes, and and then we're either a business is thrust upon us, or we're thrust into business quite often. So walk us through that process then. You're there. How long were you in that job for then?
Just over a year.
So when you got out there and it didn't exist, you got out there, you actually worked at this company properly.
Yeah. I gave it if I go and do something, I give it my absolute. So even though I could tell the job I'd been sold wasn't quite what it was, which was big when you move the other side of the world to realize that.
Yeah.
But it was, again, looking back, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because number one, going the other side of the world threw me out of my comfort zone. And number two, being in an environment that was very alien to an environment I'd been in before, like a very different culture. And it got to the point where I was like, well, I can keep battling this, or I could start listening to that voice in my head going, you can do more than this. You actually can really start to help people. And rather than just leave this and jump into another full-time role, you've got nothing to lose right now. Absolutely nothing. So I had to come back to the UK to find a job anyway. It wasn't like I was in the UK, find a job, then leave this one with my new job. I had to just leave with nothing and have nothing. So I decided, don't have nothing, go for it. And I went for it.
So, and you experienced, from the sounds of it, you experienced coaching within that organization, which is, it's really nice to know that bigger organizations are actually providing that kind of support for their employees. But what change did it make to you within because it was the advertising industry over there as well, right? So marketing and advertising industry, well, they're quite fast paced.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've worked for some, like you, big marketing and branding agencies. And there never seems to be much communication between the departments. There never seems to be any support from that with the agencies that I'd worked in and been a part of. I mean, we're going back a few years now. Obviously, it was about 2002, probably the last time I was doing something like that. 2001, 2002. I set up my first business in 2002, December. So yeah, it'll be 2002. So we are going back a bit, and things have evolved since then. And it's so nice to know that that's actually happening. So why did that company bring coaches in to support their team?
So it was the company that I worked with before I went to Melbourne had the coaches.
Okay.
And they were great. It was basically the CEO had a coach for the last 10 years. And he came in new as a CEO and was just like, I want all the exec team to have a coach. So straight up, we were like, wow, okay. I'd never even heard of it. We all produced a coach. And it was incredible just having that 1 hour that just about you to deal with all the little gremlins you have in your voice, in your head, work through any problems you've got without someone trying to put their map on it and their view on it. It was just about you. And he just wanted the best for his team, and it made us connect more as a team. It made us be more vulnerable. And I would say now that he set the path, because he's actually left that company now, but he set the path now. They still have coaching. They now coach the next level down of leaders, and they even do team coaching now. So he really set a new way of people. And I think it's starting to catch on now, because people are just seeing, especially advertising is so fast paced, high pressure. You're expected to weekends, evenings. And they're now realizing if they're going to expect that of you, there's more awareness now of your mindset and everything that they've got to be on board with that. Which is great.
So, I mean, from your point of view, obviously, with what you're doing, I mean, you are so necessary right now because of what big companies are going through, not just in the advertising industry, but everywhere. You know, there are big companies right now that are having to have their team members working from home in a way they've never worked before. And I mean, it was quite interesting, you know, hearing from people that I know within big organizations that are, you know, like you say, exec level, they're saying, oh my God, you know, like we didn't even know how to use Zoom and things like that. So they're having to have these board meetings and no one understands the technology, or, you know, they're run still in quite an archaic way. It'd be interesting to know, what are your thoughts? What do you think, what world are we going to go back to when we come through this in a corporate way?
Well, it's interesting. I got one call with the CEO today, just saying, he's actually from Madrid, saying, right, that's it, Joanna. No more. We're going to grow, but it doesn't mean I need to grow my office space anymore. We need a plan now, how we can expand, and it doesn't cost us in our overheads. I want this momentum to continue straight away before we go back into bad habits of how we used to work. So straight away, I think that's going to be a big shift we see. I do a lot with project managers as well. And for years, it's been project managers had to be in the office, you know, and all the project managers who wanted flexible working because they've had children or they, you know, want to do something else. They were always the ones that were told, no, you can't. And now it's proven, actually, you can run a project remotely and virtually. And just what I'm doing is helping project managers find their voice so they can lead more meetings and facilitate meetings stronger. And it's going to just open up these opportunities for people to still keep their career as well as, you know, have a family life as well.
And do you see, I mean, obviously, like you joined Brand Builders Club about 2 weeks ago, and literally in 2 weeks, like the world, or maybe 3 weeks ago, the world has changed in that time. It's literally shifted in the 3 weeks that you've been a member. So the things that you've been working on within Brand Builders, have you found that there's even more requirement for them? Like before you think, I should create something around this, and now it's like, fuck, I've got to get this out there. Are you finding that?
Well, it's given me a whole new products that I never even thought to have. So something I've done is offered, I've been working with companies offering free group coaching at the moment, which I'd never done Zoom group coaching before. So it was the Brand Builders going into that gave me the process to do that, the Kickstarter guide, how to do it online, even to what technology to use, how to reach it to people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even thought of that before or had the tools to do that. And as you know, I'm also now building a whole online course for project managers. Again, wouldn't, and thinking about funnels and all these new things I didn't have to think about before. And just to have the peace of mind that knowledge is there and there's people to ask for help has been, I would say, is now a key success strategy for me, is having a community you can ask for help.
Yeah, and that's so important. And I think it's important you have people that are packing your parachute when you go into something like that, especially with a new idea or something you haven't done before. You know, yeah, you could go it alone and you could do all sorts of stuff, and you could probably spend months just learning how to do it through Google or whatever. Of course, everybody has an opinion on Google, and every opinion is different, so you don't know if you're going down the right track. But you know, you could, you know, limp your way through, but you've chosen, no, I'm gonna sail through this. And the beautiful thing is, it's not just about knowing what to do, is it? And it's not even about how. Those things are nice to have, but when you've got other people that are saying you're on the right path, oh, hang on a minute, just shape that, then it'll be all right. There's a train coming if you do it that way. Here's how I would recommend you do it. I think there's something that happens in terms of confidence, where you think, I'm going to go out there and I can do this, and this is going to work, because you've got people around you that feel the same way that you do. Yeah,
and it's that championship and the reassurance, because before I found you, I was going down the rabbit hole a little bit and listening to everyone's opinion, and you should do this and you should do this, and why aren't you doing that quicker? And it's just like, oh, okay. So just someone to go, just do this first, then do this. And you just go, oh my word, like I did that in 5 days. That would have taken me 3 weeks before, because I just had the guidance to do it. And the confidence now is incredible, and the excitement. Like before, it was overwhelmed. Now it's excitement.
It's brilliant, you know. But you're prepared to do the work, and that's the key thing. Is like, you show up, you ask the question, you get the answer, you go and do the work, and then you show up to the next one, you ask the question, you get the answer, you go do the work, and that's the key thing. You know, a lot of people, they look for the answer, they have the solution put right in front of their face, and then 3 months later, they still haven't done anything with it. And then they're the ones that are bitching, moaning and whining that they're not where they want to be. So you've got to let go of the shit that's holding you back to be able to grow, haven't you? You've got to be able to say, do you know what? Here's the future. That's where I'm heading. And that's what you're doing. But there are parts of your past where I'm sure you have some confessions that we can dive into as we go through the confession show.
I might get away with that.
So come on, give us some juicy confessions about things you've gone through as you built your business that you'd never want anyone else to go through.
Yeah, I think and this is why, you know, 2 years into the business now, finding you, is I spent straight away, I was just miss action. I was just get that done, get this done. No strategy, no plan, no vision written, it was just like, oh, if I just do all this stuff, it will just happen. And then I realized a few weeks ago, when I actually obviously was doing more clearer thinking, that I was trying to run 2 businesses in 1 business. And my messaging was, although it hasn't hurt me too much, I think what I could be doing now, if I had figured that out at the beginning, because my messaging was just becoming too generic. My ideal clients were all a bit merged. Where if I'd have just sat down and strategically spent the time thinking before action, I could be in a different place right now. I'm in a good place, but it could be higher.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a key thing, isn't it? And, you know, especially with Gail Edwards being one of the mentors in the Brand Builders Club, she's the personal, for those of you that don't know about it, she's the personal branding expert. In fact, today we have a brand success surgery that's happening at 7 p.m. this evening. For those of you that are in the Brand Builders Club that want to find out, is your messaging on track? Are you going in the right direction? And I think you joined at a perfect time, didn't you? Because you were ready to just go for it, but you were going through that little identity crisis. In fact, that's how we got talking, I think, in the first place. You saw me speak at an event and I was saying, pick a lane, pick a lane, pick a lane. And you were like, oh my God, pick a lane. I've got 2 lanes. Which lane? And it was just divine timing, really, because you came into the Brand Builders Club just right as we were delivering a personal branding sprint. And now, obviously, we're focusing on product, and you're now creating products that are going to, I mean, I hate the word cash machine, but they are going to be a relentless income stream for you. I don't mind. So, I mean, that's such a good point. There are many, many people who right now are thinking of starting a business or thinking of going in a different direction with their business, and maybe their brand isn't the one that they want to grow with. Maybe it's not attracting the kind of customers, or maybe they're not earning enough money doing what they love yet. What are some of the things that you would say to those people that are maybe going through that now, Jo?
The big thing that changed for me, and I know not everyone maybe has this available, but there's always ways to find a way around, is investment. So I decided to invest in myself and back myself. And I remember talking to my husband about it, and I was like, right, we could try and invest in stocks and shares or property. I don't really have loads of cash lying around, but it's like, well, how could we think about investing? And I remember just saying to him, do you know what? I'm going to invest in me, because I can control that and I can control the return. And I know I'm going to back myself so much that I'm going to be so driven because of this investment to make the return amazing. So the motivation then, so I've invested heavily in my education, and I've invested in coaches for myself, mentors for myself, making sure I'm in communities. So I would say that was a huge, I would say that has got me to where I am today, is that making that decision and learning to make decisions. Yeah, I was making decisions. This is a confession as well. I was making decisions too slowly. I was in my head too much, questioning this, questioning that, trying to do too much research. I was looking for someone to tell me what to do, rather than being able to trust me that I knew what to do. And now it's about making that faster decision and knowing, actually, even if it ends up being the wrong decision, get feedback and move on. Yeah. So learning that failure is feedback. So there's no such thing as failure. It's just feedback. That transformed my life, just that one sentence.
That's amazing. Well, something you just said there, I want to come back to that because it's really powerful. I don't know if you know how powerful it is what you said. Do you back yourself? Like, you know, you didn't say that. I'm asking you as the audience that question. How are you backing yourself? You said, I decided to back myself. What does that actually mean to you?
Everything. You kind of, you stand in your power. You're kind of going, I'm backing myself, and I know that I can live by this decision, whether it goes right or wrong. I can stand by it and trust myself. And this all came from learning how to do standards. So I've got my standards written on the wall, which is to show up, to back myself. If I'm going to commit, you know, I'm all in. So I live to my standards now. And then when I'm not living to my standards, I catch it very quickly and try and figure out then what's causing that. So personal standards, not even just work standards, are so important about how you show up in life, for you to actually do a decision today that your future self would be proud of. And that's what I'm always thinking about the future. How do I make you proud of me when I look back in 10 years' time?
That's brilliant. That's amazing. For our viewers that are watching, hello, those of you that are joining us now. Jo, if somebody wanted to create their brand standards, their personal standards, what process would you have them go through? Because they could do that right now. I'm feeling inspired.
Well, it connects to your values as well. If you kind of figure out what is really important to you. And so I first of all did my values. What's the most important things to me? And then to start with, I really did modeling. And for those who maybe don't know modeling, as I looked at the people around me who were being successful, and I learned their strategies and talked to them. What was your strategy? How did you do this? What did it take? So I looked at their standards, and then I was like, how does that then apply to me? So I elevated my personal standards by already looking for where success was happening. So some of my standards, when I wrote them, they scared the life out of me. I was like, really? I'm going to be doing that now? But that little feeling in your belly where it's like, whew, you can either run away from it or you can choose to grow from it. And I chose to grow from it. So your values and looking for where success has already happened and make them a bit higher than what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? So I had a chat with Pete Cohen today. I had a coaching session with Pete. And he said to me, he asked some brilliant questions. And one of the questions led to me saying, well, you know, I don't trust myself in that area because I've never succeeded in that area before. And his response to that was, Well, just because you have evidence in the past doesn't mean that you don't have evidence in the future, but we've got to create the evidence.
Yeah.
And I found it really interesting that he said that. I was like, oh, so I'm going to go meditate on that today. You know, how do you create that evidence in the future? Who is it? I think it's Tony Robbins or some big guru says something like, your past does not equal your future.
Yeah.
But I guess unless you're kind of anchoring, I guess like timeline therapy in NLP would be, you know, planting that seed into the future of what that future self looks like. But that is really interesting. What you've done is you've looked at who you could model success wise. So we're modeling success, but you're looking at their personal standards, which is something that not a lot of people do. They model what they think is successful. They're not modeling the behavior of the person that's successful, and behavior is very much about those standards, isn't it? Whereas they might be doing something that you think is working. It doesn't mean it is working in their business.
Well, there was one that I read all the entrepreneurial books, and every single one said, get up at 5 a.m., get up at 5 a.m. And I ignored it for about a year. I was like, maybe there's something in this. And I now get up at 5 a.m. and oh my God, my life is different. I achieve so much. That first hour in the morning is incredible. I highly, highly recommend changing your morning, 5 a.m., getting your morning rituals in place. It puts certainty into your life. And what you achieve then in that day when you have your morning ritual in place is outstanding. And how I do it is because one of my mentors, John Assaraf, turned around to me and said to me, Jo, are you interested or are you committed? And I'm like, I'm committed. So like, you do it then. And when you say you're committed to John Assaraf, you do what he tells you to do.
I like that. God, I mean, I think there's going to be smoke coming off my keys. I can't get these banners up fast enough with all these great light bulbs that you're coming up with. So one of your mentors is John Assaraf from The Secret. How many of you know John Assaraf, or you've seen The Secret? If you put a little comment in there. What's it like being mentored by him?
Should I just do that? Incredible. Like I'm actually on a call with him tonight for 2 hours. He's probably one of the most giving, apart from yourself, one of the most giving, generous human beings I've met. So wise, so patient, and makes you feel special. He really makes you feel like he's listened to you. He's answering you need. It's not just I've given this to someone else, it will do for you. He's a very incredibly smart, generous man. Like he connected us with someone last week just to give us this other person's whole program. He's just like, we were supposed to only have one call, something like what I saw you doing with the Thinkubator.
Yeah.
Like how you've ramped up what you're doing to support. We were only supposed to have 2 calls a month with him. We're now having 2 calls a week with what's going on. You know, it's incredible. How people are helping other people right now, I think is amazing.
Isn't it wonderful? I mean, you know, there are the naysayers, there are people that are, you know, there's some bad stuff that's going on around the world right now. And I can't comprehend how us as a human race could even be like that. But then, you know, I'm choosing to hear those stories. I'm choosing to only see the good things that are coming out of this. And I'm seeing communities get closer together. I'm seeing people show up for each other more than ever before. And I'm seeing the thought leader. What you're seeing right now is the real thought leaders are the ones that are stepping up their programs. The ones that only really care about the money. They're just letting things roll, and it will hurt them. It will hurt their personal brand by you know, taking that step back. Chris, hello. Chris says, great strategy, and it works too. Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. You're obviously a man in the know. So Jo, what's next for you? Right. So you've come full circle. You've done all these things. Like you've just developed a new program. You're being mentored by global leaders, thought leaders that are really getting you out there. What's next? Like, what's your vision? Where do you see this going?
Well, for me, it's my whole passion is to build a community of awakened leaders who really understand it's not about a job title and a position. It's about helping other people become leaders and leading their life and leading a legacy. So building that community. That's what I really want to do. And then the other part of my business is driving operational success for companies so they can make a lot more money, but actually have a really happy, fulfilled workforce at the same time. Yeah. They're not just driven by the pound sign. It all comes together for high performing teams as well. So
well,
there's a lot
I see a sprint global. I definitely see you delivering a sprint for the Brand Builders Club members, because when it comes to operations, it's something that small business owners tend to think, oh, that's for bigger companies, but it's really not. And when you have the right operations in place, what it does is it really frees you up as the owner. I'm going to get Bob on the show because he clearly agrees that this is true. But that's the thing, as a small business owner, you can grow and grow and grow, but then you get to a certain level. If you haven't put those operational practices and procedures in place, you end up coming unstuck. Like that one extra person of staff or that one outsourcer doesn't have to be a person in your business. You don't need to have staff. And I think the way the world is going now, there are a lot more contractors. There are a lot more people that are coming in, even on 0 contract hours. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's happening in the world right now, isn't there? But they need to have an operational plan. I would say right from the very beginning, it would be a good idea.
Too many do it too late. And actually not having your operations in place is one of the reasons so many small businesses fail, because it just implodes. Yeah. Because if you can't then service at the same level you did, your reputation gets damaged so much, your trust gets damaged, and you can't actually solve it quick enough because your problem's suddenly then too big to solve quickly. Yeah. So having some smart thinking and knowing where you're going, where your 5-year plan is for your operations to support that. Yeah, it's critical. Absolutely. And so, being my own has had to change my thinking of how I do my one-man band. Yeah.
Yeah. And so talk us through that process then. For those people that are going through that process now, they may be thinking of scaling, maybe thinking of growing, maybe thinking of starting. What would you say, what are like the non-negotiable operations, things that you need to have in a business, no matter what size of business you are, and especially as a solopreneur?
Number one is structure. You've got to have some structure in place. It's all very well, especially the visionaries out there. I'm more of an integrator, but more of the visionaries out there, they come up with these great ideas and they go, but then there's no structure on how to make it happen. So unfortunately, it sometimes just stays in as an idea. So having structure in place in terms of your categories of thinking. So what are my categories? Well, I've got my financial work stream. I've got the project management side of what I need to do. I've got my products. So you categorize your thinking of what needs to be done. So then under each category, you have a list of all your subcategories of your tactics of what needs to happen. Then you go to what you do, because it's an actual model that actually I've suddenly realized it's what I could use as a sprint. It's called a critical alignment model. So you do all these visionary stuff up here, but then a lot of people then just go to the doing, and then they miss out the whole structure to make sure the category of thinking is done before you start doing. And then you go, once you've got that done, so vision, structure, and then implementation, you then look at who are the people I'm going to need to support me in these categories. And then on top of that, you work out, well, what are my strategies for my next 90 days and what are my tactics for my strategies? And again, who can help me? So yeah, there is something I could map out to share in the group, but it's a powerful model that you can apply to transforming a business, which I've done, to literally how do you make your bed in the morning? It is that flexible.
Yeah, amazing. And hello. So, I mean, there's some brilliant steps and brilliant structure in there already, just for any business of any size to take on board. And says structure, so applicable to me. I think it's applicable to every business, and especially right now, business owners and entrepreneurs are being not forced necessarily, but strongly guided, shall we say, to start running things in a different way. And this is a brilliant time to look at those structures and look at those processes. So, Joe, let's have that conversation outside of here. Let's maybe stay on, if you've got time, stay on for 10 minutes and we'll work out the structure for a sprint to deliver in the Brand Builders Club, because it's important that people are really getting that structure in place in their business, and it's actually quite critical right now. Michelle, hello, it's lovely to see you. Welcome. So as small business owners, who are mainly the audience for this show, What would you say is going to be one of the critical downfalls of their business if they don't do it now?
So if you're not doing it now, ask for help. Seriously, ask for help. I remember, Sammy, when we were having dinner, I said to you, one of my biggest problems was interrupting people and feeling I wasn't important enough to ask a question and letting everybody else go first. And then to actually be sitting talking to you, I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is all, starting to happen. And then I would not ask things in a community. I would wait. I don't want to be a bother. It's the worst strategy you can run. Seriously, put yourself out there. Ask for help. It's the only way I think I'm still going, is because I asked for help. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, that's a brilliant one. That's a brilliant one. And it can be quite tough, can't it? And depending on your background, depending on what your history is, especially if you've been part of a corporate organization before, where there's that almost that sense of you're a failure or you're weak if you're seen to be doing that. It's not in every organization, but certainly in the organizations that I was a part of, you found your own answers, you found your own way, you were independent, and you just had to be that way. And then of course you come out of that same way of thinking, and then you're running your business and you're still trying to do everything yourself, getting overwhelmed, frustrated. Why can't I do this? This should be really easy. And of course, it's just not your skill. It's not something that you could ask for help. But it's not weak. It's actually a strength to ask for help, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's the only way to actually survive. Because unless if you can't ask for help, I don't actually know how your business will survive, because you can't know everything. Like, my brain has nearly exploded 1,000 times, like just trying to learn Zero and do my books. This year is all about marketing. I ignored it for 2 years and realized I really do need to listen to people telling me I need to do marketing. You've got to keep educating yourself, but don't expect yourself to need to do everything yourself. And there are ways. There's virtual assistants out there that can help. There's value exchange of time that can help. There's ways to find help where it doesn't have to be you.
Yeah, literally in the Brand Builders Club last night, I saw that Stephanie was stressed out. She's one of our members in Atlanta, and she was stressed out because it was some, she needed to do the design. In fact, I think it was for StreamYard. She was trying to work out how to do the graphics and everything for the branding of the banner around StreamYard. And she'd asked the question in the Brand Builders Club group, and people were saying, well, my VA does mine for me, and blah, blah, blah. And I could tell she was getting more and more and more frustrated. So I jumped on a message with her, and I just did a screen. I filmed my screen, and I went onto Fiverr. I'd never get branding created on Fiverr. But if I've got my branding, if I've got my logo, there are so many things you can get done on Fiverr. So I just went onto Fiverr, and I typed in graphic design. And all these amazing designers came up, anywhere from, $5 to $15, and they'll do all kinds of things. And the thing is, once you find that person, you can just go back to them again and again and again. And I looked, I'm always looking at the reviews. Have they got 5-star reviews? How many people, if it's like 600, I think the one I found for Stephanie, and I found it within 5 minutes. And it's, if you know what you're looking for, you can find it straight away. I know what I'm looking for because I've been kind of recruiting and taking on designers, and having been a designer like you in your industry, I know exactly what I'm looking for. And that's why it's so important to ask for help, because I went on within 5 minutes. I was able to look at exactly, there was somebody that I found, I think they had 600 jobs they'd done, 5-star reviews, and they were charging, I think it was $12 an hour. Well, for a designer, they're all at $12 an hour. They're going to do a great job for you. They're going to do it faster than you could ever do it yourself. Why try and do a job that is going to cause you nothing but frustration, when actually this banner, it might look like it's really simple, but if you're building your business and live streaming is a part of it, that's part of your branding. You need to take it seriously. It's worth investing a little bit in getting this done, because it's going to be on all of your videos forevermore. So it's just really seeing the value in the investments you're making as well. And Joe, as you said, investing in yourself, I believe that this kind of investment is an investment in yourself as well. The branding of you is such a big investment, and it's one that will just keep paying.
Yeah, well, my husband's the creative director, so he did all my branding, so I was lucky with that.
I know, you're so lucky. But that's another thing, though. When you learn how to do something, you end up bloody doing it yourself all the time, don't you? So what you said earlier, just need to know enough, but then recruit somebody else or have somebody else to do that. Who do you need to do that? I remember Jane Ballion, who I interviewed last week, when she came to the, she did a great session. Like, she came in and did a session with our Brand Builders Club members at one of our members' days last year. And one of the things that she said always resonated with me. She said, as entrepreneurs, we can get really frustrated we keep asking, how? Oh, but how do I do this? And someone says, here's what you need to go away and do. And you're like, fucking how do I do it, right? And you get so frustrated with the how. She said, all you've got to do is switch those same 3 letters, just turn them around to who already knows how to do it. And I thought that was so powerful. Same 3 letters, switched from how to who. There is somebody who already knows exactly what you need to know.
Yeah.
Like, YouTube has been my friend for years. There's so many people say, Sammy, how do you do this? I go straight onto YouTube and I send them the link and go, there you go. And they're like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, well, it's nothing that they couldn't have done themselves, but they don't know how. So sometimes it's about, doing the research and getting those resources together for other people. I just love what you're doing, Jo. I think what you're doing is so necessary. And I think it's necessary for all entrepreneurs, actually, not just in the advertising industry. I think you're going to find when you do your sprint in the Brand Builders Club, you're going to learn some stuff. You'll be like, hang on a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, I love that, Anne. I'm gonna keep transcribing for me, Anne. That's great. I'm just gonna keep getting you up on the screen. It saves me having smoke coming off the keys. So
with that, how to you, with that how to you, just think about how much money, the time you're wasting in pounds and dollars on the how, that you could actually be investing on the who, because there's a money equation in that as well.
There is. Right, give that to me again. I'm going to type that one up.
So it's basically the how is costing you money by you trying to figure out how to do it, rather than converting that money and paying the person who knows how to do it. There's a cost either way. Because I was just learning that what I could charge my time out for an hour versus spending time working out how to use a bit of kit, it was a no-brainer. It's like, oh my God, that's crazy. I should be doing that because I can earn more than I'm paying the other person to do it. It's kind of...
that's I always find that that's an interesting one when investing in any kind of marketing as well, because typically the thinking industry standard was put 10% of your profits into marketing. Especially bigger companies, they have like a percentage that they roll in. And I always think, wow, they're going to really waste that money. Why wouldn't you instead think about what is the lifetime value of a customer when you treat that one customer really, really well? So instead of constantly going out and get new customers, if instead of getting 500 customers in a year because you have a lot of churn, if you had 100 customers that you served really well that bought 5 times with you, it just doesn't make sense to me that people, but they'll say, well, but it's £99 for me to get, or $150 for me to get 1,000 flyers done, and somehow that seems more value to them to get 1,000 flyers done than to highlight 5 companies and send a corporate gift that you send like half of the gift and say, I'd love to come in and give you the other half of it, or something clever, creative, doing something that really is going to make that difference. Because if you picked, I remember I've talked about this before, a friend of mine, Simon, oh my God, this was so effing funny. It was so funny. So Simon receives this. In fact, I think you met Simon at Matt's event. Do you know Simon already? Simon Colson?
Yes. Not well. I know him. Yeah, I met him quickly.
Yeah, right. So this was years ago. It's got to be about 6, maybe 7 years ago. So he's telling us we were at dinner, and he's telling us that he receives this box, and it looks like a pizza box. And this courier has delivered this box. But because it's a courier, it's gone straight past his PA, and it's gone straight to his desk, right? So there's a lesson there already, right? Instead of just sending something by post to the person, have a courier deliver it, because then it looks like it's a purchase that they've made. So this guy sends by courier this box. Simon ends up with this box on his desk, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" So he takes the packaging off, and he looks at it, and it's a toilet seat in its original box and everything, right? But there's no cellophane on it. But it's like, you know, a toilet. What the fuck? I haven't ordered a toilet seat. What is this? So curiosity, second lesson. So he he's like, oh my God, what if this is used? Like, he doesn't know because there's no cellophane on it, right? So he opens up this box really tentatively and he looks inside. And he's like, what the hell? And he opens it up and there's a Post-it note on top of this toilet seat, which fortunately was in the wrapping inside. And there's a Post-it note and it just has a phone number on it, a mobile number, no name, nothing, just has a mobile number on it. Well, he's like, what the hell? So he puts it to one side, but this is pecking at his head, right? He cannot. It's like, who has sent me this bloody toilet seat? It's totally like talking to him. And anyway, in the end, he calls the number on this bit of yellow Post-it note. And him and this guy went on to do many hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of business together, because the person who went to the effort of I think he spent about £15 on a courier, about £15 on a toilet seat, and pennies for a Post-it note. So for £30, he's got in front of a £220,000 opportunity, which is about maybe $260,000 opportunity, because he thought about it, right? So isn't it better to invest £30 on a smaller amount of people than it is to try and get 1,000 flyers for £100 and not get any of them? Because how do you know that their eyeballs are going to be interested in that? And especially if you're looking at a high level, like Simon gets hundreds of emails every day. Everybody wants to get on in front of his list. So you've got to find inventive, creative ways to be able to do that. And I just loved the way that Simon shared that story when it came to him actually opening that box, because he never would. If it had gone to his VA or his PA, they'd have opened it. He'd have never seen that thing. So it's about getting inventive. And I think there's this thing when you're investing in yourself and investing in your business and investing in your customers, I think it's a very important lesson to think, well, how can I map out a process that I'm going to get in front of them, but I'm going to get their eyeballs solely, get their attention on this thing. And then who do I know that can make that happen? I just love this conversation, because
well, it just circles right back around to my confession was I didn't make a plan. I just started doing stuff.
Yeah.
So if you start making flyers, it makes you believe you're doing something.
Yeah.
But you're not really doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So actually having the strategic thinking at the start is so important, which is what that guy did.
Yeah, I call it doing syndrome. You feel like as long as you feel like you're doing something, you feel like you're good, but then you get to the end of the day and like, what did I do?
Yeah. I remember when you said that to me and I was like, I've got it. Oh my God, I'm in doing syndrome.
Oh my gosh. No more. You're in get shit done syndrome right now.
I am, but with a plan.
Yeah, with a plan. And that's the key takeaway, I think, is to get that plan together, make sure that you're asking for help to have that plan become a reality. And I think there's a little thing on the end there that we can add in, because obviously you've got your structure as well that we've talked about. We've talked about so much today. Celebrating. I think celebrating is like the final piece of that, is to actually give yourself a freaking pat on the back, right? Give us a hashtag pat on back right now. Give yourself a pat on the back, because you are here when so many other people could have been here and they chose not to be. But you're doing the things today that other people won't, so that you can do the things in future that other people can't. And that's a quote that really has stuck with me ever since I heard it many years ago. And I thought, yeah, you know, there's a certain breed of us that are prepared to do that.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful.
It's worth it.
It is worth it. Jo, thank you so much for being on the show. How can people get in contact with you? Like, if they want to have a chat or they want to find out how you can support them, what's the best way for them to reach out?
So they can either find me on Facebook under Joanna House, or my email is hello@joannahouse.com.
Is that right?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
And I'm really happy to help people if they want to have a further chat about what we've talked about. So.
Brilliant. And I think structure is something that is this now's a really good time for any size of business. Even if you're thinking of starting a business, now is the time to put that structure in place, because if you have that structure in place, if it comes to you and another company and you get chosen and you got structure and that other company didn't have structure, that's going to be bleeding all over their branding. Like, you can tell when somebody hasn't got structure behind their business. Now's an important time to grow.
Cool.
So, Jo, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you to those of you that have been playing with us. And Anne, it's so awesome to see you, Anne. And who else we've got? Anne, Michelle, Chris, Victoria, Greg. It's been lovely to play together today. And for those of you watching the replay, if you've got any questions, you've got Jo's contact details on the screen. Get in touch with Jo. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next Confessions of a Global Changemaker show. Who have we got tomorrow? Let's see who's in the hot seat tomorrow. We have the lovely Sarah Cox. So if funnels, that's one of your things you're talking about now. If funnels is something that you're wanting to like really think about putting in place, automation. If you've worked with Jo and you know what your operational systems are, but now you've got to meet that with technology, and you're like, oh, freaking hell, like, how do I even do that? Then you have the amazing Sarah Cox, who's one of our incredible Brand Builders Club mentors that is just so brilliant at what she does. She's doing all of my funnel stuff for me now. And I can't tell you how amazing it feels to be able to go back to saying, right, I've got this idea. How do we make it happen? Don't worry. You don't need to know how it is going to happen. I'm going to take care of it. So Sarah's your girl when it comes to that. And we're going to be talking to her in the hot seat tomorrow during the Confessions show. So have a wonderful, wonderful evening or day, morning, wherever you are. I know it's probably midday for you, Anne, over there. Remember that we have Gail Edwards delivering the brand success strategy session today. That's going to be in about an hour from now. So 7 p.m. British time. So Anne, for you, if you're going to come and join Gail for that, that's going to be, I think, 2 p.m. in the afternoon for you on Eastern time. So take care, and I will see you there, and I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah! Bye. Bye.